Thank you, Mon. New South Wales is preparing to enforce some of the world's toughest gun laws, with major changes coming for the state's 50,000 licence holders. The Australia's biggest gun buyback in 30 years, responding to the Bondi terror attack. More than 250,000 weapons will be surrendered and destroyed across the state. But critics say reforms are targeting the wrong people and won't make Australia safer at all. Joining us now is New South Wales Opposition Leader Kelly Sloan. Good to have you with us. So, will a gun buyback stop the Bondi massacre? You were there. Do you think it will make a difference?
It won't. Sadly, it won't. I mean, there's a reason that Chris Minns was the only Premier in the entire country to stand with Anthony Albanese and support this proposal, which is half-baked. It's half-baked and it's a very expensive solution to the wrong problem. We need to be very clear-eyed about who the real enemy is. And it is not law-abiding farmers. It is not law-abiding sporting shooters in our suburbs. It is terrorists. It is terrorism. It is hate. And it is the organised criminals in our cities that are shooting up our streets, as we've seen just this morning in the breaking news from Melbourne. We need to target them if we're going to be successful.
Do we have a wider gun problem in not just this state, but in Australia nationally? If you look back at 1996, government records say that firearm deaths related to firearms fell by almost 50% in the 5 years after the amnesty in 1996. Do we need to bring it in to keep people safe?
That was a defining moment in our nation's history, and Prime Minister John Howard at the time was extraordinarily brave, and he shaped our gun policy for the better, and we are all so grateful for that. And there's no reason why people should be hoarding guns in the city. Concrete cowboys with a stash of weapons, no one wants that. Let's get rid of those. But in a knee-jerk response to our nation's greatest terrorist tragedy in this country, the Premier of New South Wales stood up and said he wanted the toughest gun laws in the country. And I worked with him on that, but I said if there are unintended consequences, and there have been for farmers, for others, then we need to address that, and that is not being done. This is a political slogan. This will not prevent the next Bondi. I want to prevent the next Bondi. I was there. I saw the tragedy with my own eyes. And on that, can I just congratulate your team on the Logie last night? When I walked out of scenes that I will never forget, the worst horror I could imagine in my own community, the first person I saw was Chris Reason from 7 News. And I'm grateful I saw him because I trust him, because he is an accomplished journalist and he told the story well. And I just want to congratulate you and your team for the sensitivity of managing something that we all would rather forget. It
was a difficult story to tell, but it had to be told, didn't it? Let's go back to this buyback. You say it's a knee-jerk reaction. After Port Arthur, it was 12 days that John Howard announced that there would be an amnesty. That ran for 12 months. By November, we're 11 months after the fact. It feels like enough time has passed to potentially bring in new laws. What would you do instead? Well,
the problem is that the laws were defined and rushed through Parliament in New South Wales on Christmas Eve, 8 days after this terror attack. It's very different than what John Howard did. He developed policy carefully and in consultation with stakeholders. I warned at the time if there are unintended consequences, we needed to work through that. And that clearly hasn't happened. Look, I want, as much as anyone, in fact more because I've seen it with my own eyes, I want our community to be safe. And I want us to be targeting the right people. I want us to be targeting the terrorists. We introduced laws in New South Wales as a coalition opposition to crack down on the grooming of young people into extremist terrorism. And that was defeated by Labor. We've got this the wrong end around. We need to target organised crime gangs, be tougher on them, be tougher on would-be terrorists in our community. Because I tell you one thing, like, do you really think, like, this is the thing, the organised criminals are going to walk into, and would-be terrorists are going to walk into a cop shop and hand over their weapons? I mean, good luck with that.
Let's keep talking about this because something needs to change. There's too many guns on the streets. There's too many shootings. We report on a daily basis, basically, in Sydney alone. Kelly Sloan, appreciate your time.
Thanks.